My name's Jon Vandenheuvel, and my company's called Small Farm Cities. We are based in Malawi, which is in Southern Africa. We started our company in 2021, about 2 years ago in a few months. Small Farm Cities is an ultra affordable developer of planned communities. We focus on blending greenhouse horticulture, fish farming, poultry, with ultra affordable housing, knit together with advanced technology and micro-municipal infrastructure. What we do, in short, is we build a very, very affordable place for Africans earning between $50 and $250 a month to be able to work, live, play, and flourish. The key principle behind Small Farm Cities is the migration from an informal economy to a formal economy. You cannot finance what you cannot audit. And that's true of a company, an institution, a country, but it's especially true for a family and for an individual. And so what you have across so many people in the African context, especially in the agricultural sector, is they find themselves in the informal economy. That so many of us who are from the United States or from more developed economies, we take it for granted. But in the African context, it's very, very difficult for a family and for a farmer and for an individual to be able to access the finance that they need to be able to really get ahead. And so in a small farm city, our focus is on home ownership, business ownership, ownership of your most valuable form of capital, which is your knowledge, your mind, your talent. You can only really leverage your talent, your skills in an environment where that value can actually be stored in a legally recognized situation. So in a small farm city, we are migrating families and individuals from an informal, unbankable situation into a bankable and therefore scalable situation in life. Small Farm Cities joined CCI's Africa's Next 50 Coalition because developing a new city project, it has to be done in partnership. Really important to develop new projects, new city, new urban projects with those who have experience in this area. It's infrastructure heavy, and the Next 50 Cities Coalition that CCI started is just a really great opportunity to work with and identify with other companies and organizations in Africa that are setting up new urban projects. The challenge is huge. It's projected that Africa will be growing by about 1 billion people between now and 2050. If you take a look at 1 billion new people over the next, let's say 20, 25, 26 years, it actually translates into 3 new cities a month for the next 25 years of at least 3 million people each. That's a lot of people, a lot of new population. And where's everyone going to live? And so if you look at nations across the continent, there is this growing pressure for developing new places for people to live and flourish. So I think in terms of the thought leadership that CCI is bringing along with the Next 50 Cities Coalition, that thought leadership is actually very critical. Because what we need to do is we need to balance economic pressure, population pressure, environmental pressure with best practices and innovation so that the result is actually a healthier, stronger, more flourishing continent as opposed to a more sort of fragile or distressed continent. I have said so often, it takes a systems solution to solve a systems problem. And in terms of organizing and coordinating across different categories, across different sectors, the public sector, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, so many different industrial sectors, electricity and transport, logistics and commerce and technology. How do you bring it all together? It's in the context of developing new cities. And it's in the context of having a good plan, a smart plan for how you develop these new cities. So the Next 50 Cities Coalition is critical to addressing this pressure, but also to sort of catalyze the community and the global community to turn what could be negative pressure into actually positive change. And so being part of the coalition, it's primarily shared learning and networking, but also leveraging best practices and building an identity for the space of developing new city and new urban projects. Being part of the NXT50 Cities Coalition has been fantastic for the opportunities that it has created for me and for my team to be able to engage with other projects and then programs of the coalition. What comes to mind is Catapult. It's been a really great experience, both on the training and sort of the development side of really refining what is small farm cities and how to present that to a larger group, but also then to see other projects around Africa do the same thing. Two projects that come to mind right now: Tatu City in Kenya. It's an industrial development project just outside of Nairobi, organized by Rendeavor. And it's just been great through the NXT50 Cities Coalition to see what kind of steps were needed to get this project off the ground, and then what kind of development is happening now in terms of getting factories and getting people and really developing that special economic zone. Another project that comes to mind is Etana in Lagos, a project I've become familiar with through the NXT50 Cities Coalition. It's a little more on the technology side, but yet it's positioned in the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Special Economic Zone in Lagos. And every country is a little bit different, but then every country, there are similarities. And it's through the Catapult and through the NXT50 Cities Coalition, it's just a great reference point for us as we've developed small farm cities in Malawi to be able to really understand the scope of projects that are happening across Africa and learning about them in a structured way through the Catapult. It's just been a really exciting development over the last year or so. The greatest challenge we've faced as small farm cities to this point, I would say, is the need to be able to execute a project and a bankable finance project, development project in an informal economy. These don't always mix very well when you have to bring bankable investment into an informal economy, and that has been a challenge. One example is currency devaluation, as just one example of where a nation goes through a currency crisis, but you as an international investor, you have to be able to weather that storm. So this is, I would say, the biggest challenge, but it's also the biggest opportunity for small farm cities, as well as really the Charter Cities Institute, to be able to help with this transition from the informal economy to a formal, bankable, and really investable economy. One of the main achievements of small farm cities to this point is being able to design houses in communities that can actually be afforded by a family earning less than $250 a month. In fact, even those earning less than $100 a month. So that, I would say, is the accomplishment we're the most proud of, is being able to build homes in and place them in nice communities with good infrastructure, access to technology, access to water, and good agricultural practices for families that actually earn less than $100 a month. The second achievement that we're very, very excited about is our staff. We recruited 2 years ago already a blend of 3 types of talent. Type number 1, Malawi University graduates, different majors. Some majored business, some in communications, art, agronomy, many different majors. And we were looking for talent that had different kind of background, but the one thing that really held everyone together was a real desire to learn and innovate and be part of a team. So the second category of recruitment we've done over the last couple of years is skilled trades. So we have full-time welders, plumbers, carpenters, and the skilled trades. It's just been amazing to see what can happen with those who have really skilled professions, and then you give them the support and you give them the resources and the opportunities to succeed. We have some really exciting case studies already emerging from our staff. My vision for the future of urban development in Africa is the establishment of platforms, of physical places where Africans earning between $50 a month and $150 a month can become owners, can have rights, and can really begin to move from an informal, unbankable life to now a bankable, flourishing life. And that can only really happen in a community that is built on a foundation of property rights and legal rights, and where they have access to the tools that are necessary to allow them to compete in the global economy. The role of the NXT50 Cities Coalition in terms of the future of urban development in Africa is to find that balance. The balance between really international investment, the development of infrastructure, the financing of that infrastructure, but ultimately it has to translate into a more affordable life for 90% of the African population that lives on less than $250 a month. Unfortunately, affordability is very poorly defined. A house that is more than $2,000 or $3,000 is not affordable for 90% of the African population. And I just don't think people realize that. They say, well, this is affordable housing. This is an affordable house. It's $10,000. Well, less than 10% of the African population can afford to live in a $10,000 house. In the country of Malawi, a country of 20 million people, there are only 1,000 bank mortgages. 1,000 bank mortgages in a nation of 20 million people. So there's no financing for housing. So what is affordable? And so how do you bust out of that? Well, the future of urbanization in Africa, if it's going to be a good future and not a bad future, better figure this out.